Hello, and welcome to this final installment of our webinar series designed to take a deeper dive into topics related to exposure to stress and adversity. This series is brought to you by the STAR program here at OSU. I'm Arianna Galligher, and today we're going to focus on connecting with your passion and finding moments of joy. First, let's recognize that during times of increased stress, it can be increasingly challenging to remember what makes you love your work. So the first step in sort of reconnecting with your passion is to remember what's your why, what brought you here in the first place, what really made you think a career in healthcare was what you wanted to spend your time focusing on. When asked, an overwhelming number of healthcare professionals and first responders cite a desire to help others, a desire to make a positive impact on the world around them, and a desire to find new and better solutions or treatments for difficult problems as kind of primary reasons for entering the field in the first place. If one or more of these reasons connects with your why, it's really important to remember that if you start to feel particularly stressed or fatigued, it can really help to reconnect with your why. It's also important to recognize the things that sometimes separate us from our why. Many of us are facing increased pressure related to productivity, even as we're facing a reduction in resources that are available to assist us to do our work. There's a prioritization of subjective measures of satisfaction, sometimes at the expense of objective measures of quality care. Increased paperwork burden, whether that's physical, pen to paper, or whether it's through the electronic medical record, and system-based or institutional barriers to offering optimal care. Sometimes we really want to enact a treatment plan that isn't practical from a systems perspective. And that can be incredibly frustrating to face those barriers. And it really does separate us oftentimes from the reasons that we entered the field in the first place. It's important to really keep an eye on and watch for signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue or burnout. If you start to notice increased instances where you're calling off work because you're ill, or you're dragging yourself to work in spite of being ill, you're experiencing increased headaches, fatigue, sometimes gastrointestinal issues, those are physical signs of compassion fatigue or burnout. If you're noticing that you're increasingly irritable or depressed or anxious or overwhelmed, if you feel guilty a lot of the time, that may be an emotional sign of compassion fatigue or burnout. And if you find yourself avoiding issues, if you find yourself lashing out at other people or becoming incredibly passive, those might be some behavioral signs of compassion fatigue or burnout. It's really just important to watch for those warning signs. And if they start to arise, or as they start to arise, that's where we want to make some concentrated effort at combating those signs and really being intentional with some self-care. If you want to reconnect with your passion for your work, remember that people tend to work best when they're given flexibility to be creative and contribute to the problem-solving process. If you're finding yourself feeling really stuck in a rut, instead of doubling down on the same old process that's keeping you stuck, it may be time to search for an alternate solution, or at least be open to the idea that one might exist. Remember that 3 + 6 = 9, but so does 5 + 4. There may be more than one path to get us to the same destination. And sometimes veering on a different route can open up possibilities that we didn't really see before. It's also important to recognize that working in healthcare can be isolating. It's a unique field, and many people have a hard time connecting with family members or friends that aren't in the healthcare field, or a first responder, because the experiences that we have every day in the healthcare field are outside of the norm for the general public. So it's going to be really important to cultivate and utilize a supportive network. We really can and do support one another, and we're stronger because of it. So we want to challenge that belief that no one understands or that no one could understand what you're going through. You want to work on developing that trust with others a little bit at a time by letting other people know what's going on, and really prioritize those relationships that are reciprocal. There's a balanced give and take. It's important to focus on the things that you do have some agency or control over. You know, if you want to reconnect with your passion, feeling like you're making a difference is a really big part of that. So focusing on the things that we can control reduces our anxiety. It allows us to make progress and to mark that progress. It's going to be important to recognize that you can't always control the outcome of a situation, but you can control how you choose to react or respond. It's going to be important to let go of control over other people's thoughts or feelings or behaviors or choices, and focus instead on cultivating the energy that you want to put forward. Identify small steps that you can take towards solutions to problems. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture, especially when we're facing complex problems. But if we can just focus on what's the next best step for us to take, it tends to bring us a little bit of relief. We want to develop realistic goals. Remember to count the little things. If someone made you smile or laugh, that is precious, and we want to hold on to that. If someone said thank you, oh my goodness, what a gift. If someone left their encounter with you with a clear sense of direction for what their next step is going to be, count that as a win. If you were able to improve upon a process, even just a little bit, count that. That really matters. That really makes a difference. And it's going to help you to feel a little bit better about the contributions that you're making to the field, because they do matter. You want to try to prioritize just a few items that you're really working on, and give yourself credit for the steps that you're taking, even if there are still things left to achieve. You also need to challenge yourself to remain optimistic and hopeful in general. Keep track of those success stories. It's easy to point to the times when things went wrong. Those are the things that might leap to mind when we're feeling down. But we really need to make a conscious effort to counterbalance those experiences by tracking the good times, the success stories, the times when things went well, or you were able to achieve a goal with a patient. It sometimes helps to even write them down. Display these success stories somewhere accessible. You see here, this is my actual office. This is my view just behind my desk. I can look up at this anytime and really remember the time that, you know, someone gave me a birthday card. My staff gave me a card for Boss's Day that was just wonderful and heartfelt. I have thank you notes from patients. I have little inside jokes with my staff that really help me to remember what brings me to work every day. Revisit this stuff as often as possible. It really does help you to remember that sometimes you are able to make a positive impact. Remember, that's one of the reasons that you got into this field in the first place, to make a difference. We also need to nurture our self-image. That performance evaluation process, while it's absolutely important, it can really do a number on our self-esteem if we're not careful. If we're constantly only getting feedback about the things that we could improve upon, it can do some damage. So pick out some little things that you like about yourself. Resist that urge to pick them apart or to minimize them. You want to focus on your strengths and do what you can to capitalize on them. Remember that everyone has good points and bad points. You're no exception, and neither is anyone else. Develop and use compassionate self-talk. Remember that you matter, and being kind to yourself is going to be an important way to help you preserve your passion for your work. Finally, take care of yourself and seek those moments of joy. Our work is demanding even on the best day. So knowing and attending to the things that replenish your energy and bring you hope is going to be really important. That means doing things like exercise to take care of your body, eating regularly and as healthfully as possible, getting a reasonable number of hours of sleep and quality sleep per night, engaging in hobbies outside of work. Who are you outside of your career? Allow yourself to try some new things. Seek out some good news on purpose. The world is full of news that is dire and dark just now. So really making an intentional effort to balance that out with some good news. It's out there, but sometimes we have to seek it out. Endeavor to have some fun. Fun is so important, and peppering some fun throughout your workday is also really important. And remember to treat yourself from time to time. You matter. So being kind to yourself also really matters. I can't stress that enough. The STAR program is proud to offer this resource to support wellness and resilience. If these topics have resonated with you, if you'd like more information, please do reach out to us. You can call us at 614-293-STAR. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you have a safe and healthy week.